Go ahead. Now we're here. Hello. Welcome to a really, really cool show. Hello, everyone. And you can keep joining in. And we're going to start now. Let's start. What happened? So some problems on the on there. But okay. But we're here. So welcome, everyone. And I'm counting on you to join, and it seems that there was some network issue, it seemed, when we started. Hello, everyone. And hello, Dine Officer, that's joined us, and in Poet, welcome. And Gothic Swamp, it's always a pleasure to have you here. And, of course, Mach Fox. And, okay, I'll do this manually because there's some problem over there, so... Hello, and you can now see Mach Fox's face. Hello, Mach Fox, how are you?
I'm good. It's really, really cool to be here with you.
Yes, this is a really, really cool show. And this seems like... what happened?
Yeah.
People.
No.
Oh, okay.
Now I can't do it anymore.
Okay. So sorry about the technical difficulties, initial technical difficulties. But this is a first time, so this is the first experiment. It's a really pleasure to have our friend Mach Fox for this experiment, doing this, the first interview that we do via Skype, and we hope that everything is okay. So if you guys have any issues with a sound or something happened, just write down. And of course, if you have any questions that you like to make, just write it down, and we'll talk. It's just this is I don't like to call it an interview. I like to have a discussion with you guys, and and with that, let's start to Mach Fox. So I'm playing. You can see in the background. This is from the Mach Fox project. This EP, Hollow Moons. Maybe, let's start with that, Mach. How did you come up with this Hollow Moons? Why Hollow Moons? Why this EP? Go ahead. Yeah.
Hollow Moons, the song, and actually all the songs on this EP were outtakes from the Conquest 3000 album. So Dave, the bass D-Bot, our bass player in Zwaremachine, he wrote a lot of the demos and the tracks that became the Conquest 3000 album. Some of them just didn't fit, the sound that we ended up with the Zwaremachine album. And I really liked these songs. Some of them were the first songs that I did. Hollow Moons and The Drain were the first demos that we finished. So we just kind of put them aside. They were outtakes from the Zwaremachine album, and I still really like the songs, so I wanted to make it a release, and we just released it as Mach Fox instead of Zwaremachine because it just didn't fit the Zwaremachine album.
Yeah. But I've listened. So you sent me this, and also the Fox Nova project. We'll talk about it later. And I've listened to it all. I already had listened a couple of tracks previously on Bandcamp, but then now I listen to it all, and it's really really cool. And actually, let's play the Hollow Moons track because I really like this track. And actually, let's go to our first video. And Pippa is having issues over there, so I'll do this manually. Or are you okay? No? What are you doing? Okay. Pippa is having some issues over there, so I'll try to do this manually. Let's go play the first track. Let's go, and we'll see the video of Hollow Moons, and we'll be right back after this. Okay, so and that was the Hollow Moons video clip, and so Mach, let's go back on how do you start in your career in music? So can you tell us like if you have any formal training in music, or you just like try to learn by yourself? How did you start?
I kind of grew up with, punk bands and playing guitar, so it was kind of like whatever I could do, I would just do it the best I could, and no real training, just like stubbornness, and it's what I wanted to do from an early age, so I just kept doing it, started my own bands, played with other people's bands. In the 90s, there was I was doing a lot more guitar rock, say, some alternative bands and touring around and stuff. But I had always loved stuff like Gary Newman, and when I heard drum machines and stuff like Yazoo, synthesizers and drum machines, before I knew what a drum machine was, I noted that sound in my head. It was the coolest sounds ever, I thought. So later on, I got in probably the mid 90s or early 90s, I started getting into synthesizers and drum machines, but I was horrible at programming drums. I didn't know how to play drums, so I had no idea. It was some of my early stuff, the drum programming is the worst ever, but it's just something. I grew out of punk and that whole do it yourself, just do it, and eventually it got a little better. By the mid 2000s, that's when I kind of started Mach Fox, and D-Bot, who plays bass in Zwaremachine, I did Mach Fox as a solo effort. In 2005, I released a record, and then there was a good scene in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the US where I live, for that kind of electronic music with guitars, or electropunk we called it, but anything goes in that. So a bunch of us in different bands, we kind of supplemented each other's bands. So I got Dave, the bass player, D-Bot, I got him in my band for playing live, and then he just stuck around. He's just a great bandmate, really talented musician. That all that drama and stuff you hear in the Hollow Moons EP, like that piano intro, that's all him. He did all the music for those songs. I just wrote the vocals, produced it and arranged it and stuff. But yeah, he's just a phenomenal musician. So I guess, it just started out a punk. I played guitar. I love lots of different kinds of music, and I kind of focused on just up to where I am now. Zwaremachine is kind of a project that I really focus on, whereas Mach Fox, I feel like I can just release any experiment I come up with can be Mach Fox. I'm not really playing live with Mach Fox anymore, so I kind of look at it as the outlet for everything that isn't Zwaremachine, sort of at this point.
Yeah, so it's more free. You can do whatever you want. It's you basically. If you feel like
Yeah.
something completely out of, I don't know, completely different, you can do it. It's you. Yeah.
Well, it's still going to be like right now, it's still going to be based in synthesizers and drum machines but it's way more melodic than Zwaremachine. I think a Zwaremachine kind of as ugly and raw versus Mach Fox can be a little bit of a pop outlet too, whatever it needs to be, whatever I can come up with.
Give me a second. Oh. Sorry, I was distracted doing something else, but I was listening to you. Yeah, so with that, let's go back to the beginning. How did you you were talking about the start of Zwaremachine. How did you meet everyone, D-Bot and Dine Officer? How did you put everyone together, or if it was you, or if it was somebody else that called you? How did you put the band together?
Well, Zwaremachine, a lot like Mach Fox, started out as another solo effort. You know, like I was saying, in the 90s, I played with a lot of bands, and what you had to, you all had to kind of vote on which songs, and lots of fights or discussions or whatever you want to call them about, oh, do this during this part. Just, it was like so much. It was so hard to write songs and be in bands sometimes. Sometimes it was easy, but with Mach Fox and Zwaremachine, I wanted to just do things myself, not consult other people, not vote on things, just like have it really be the thing I needed it or wanted it to be. D-Bot, like I was saying, played in Mach Fox in our band in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
Then when I got Zwaremachine going, it kind of turned into this thing where for some live shows, I just wanted to get a keyboard player and someone to play electronic drums for the live shows. I didn't really want to write music with them or record with them. I just needed a band to play live.
Yeah.
So I asked Spot. He came back in and he played synthesizers and electronic drums, and we had a really good time. We'd do like maybe 1 or 2 shows a year. It wasn't really like something I was pursuing or trying to tour or even release records with. But later on, that became, around 2017, I started writing a live set that would become the first Zwaremachine album. And I played with some other guys for a while, and that didn't really work out. It was hard to get people to learn the song arrangements and hang with me at that level. And then I was starting to pursue it as something I wanted to tour with and release albums with. So I was looking for band members. So in 2018, I asked Dave to join permanently, but as a bass player instead of a synth player.
Yeah.
And because he's a really good bass player, that's what he's been doing in my bands mostly. So I got him, and then later on, probably mid 2019, I added Dine Officer on drums. Now he lives in the Netherlands, so there was a tour coming up in September of 2019, and I wanted Dave, and then I wanted a drummer also. So that's Dine Officer said he would join and play with us. Then D-Bot ended up last minute canceling. He couldn't make the tour.
Yeah.
So Dine Officer and I did it as a 2-piece, but we really got solid together, and the shows turned out great. The guy was like, Dine Officer was like into it. He was mouthing the words like we rehearsed one day. Then I think that night we went and played our first gig in France. But when we were rehearsing, he's like singing the words of the songs. I'm looking over there and I'm like, this guy is cool. He's in,
Yeah.
So I don't know so that's the current lineup is a trio. And that's how I got those guys in the band.
And what do you think are the main qualities that members have to work well together and to stick together?
Yeah, in a band.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
band, because sometimes it must be hard somehow. It's like stressful sometimes, and everybody has different opinions at times too.
Yeah.
Well, it's very much like a relationship, you know, just like you have to compromise and like have an understanding. Like I'm lucky with these guys in Zwaremachine. They understand I might change my mind at the last minute. You know what I mean? You got to put up with me
Yeah.
to be in the band. First of all, I'm like, I guess I have an idea of what I want to do. Sometimes it doesn't work out and I have to change course a little bit, but you know, like I say, D-Bot, he knows me pretty well. He helps out. Like it's nice to have him running the lights. We would bring our own light show, so I would run the video, he'd run the lights with his feet on a foot switch thing. Little stuff like that helps a lot. We don't have a big crew,
Yeah.
so we're doing it ourselves. Yeah, and just you know, it's a serious project for me. I'm committed to it 100%, and I need the other guys in the band. You know, I'll do most everything I can myself, but I need them to show up and know how to play the songs and you know help a little bit with the gear. And that's something you know I've had band members they just want to show up and jam, but these
Yeah.
are actual songs with arrangements, so that you know there's a little bit of rehearsal. And like I was saying with our drummer being in the Netherlands, he kind of has to rehearse on his own. Then, you know, when Dave and I get over to Europe, we can do a couple rehearsals before our shows, but we don't have like weekly rehearsals available. Like most bands I've been in, you know, we rehearse
Yeah.
a lot, but so yeah, just you know, being in a band is a relationship. And then you got egos involved, you know, but that's the thing with Dine Officer and D-Bot, those guys are just there to play and they look cool doing it. There's no weird egos with them. So this is like the ultimate lineup. I never expected to have a bass, you know, like an electric bass player in the band, and I never expected an acoustic drum. I always wanted a trio, and I thought it was going to be electronic drummer standing up, you know, something like you see front 242 that with a guy standing up playing the pads, and then another synth player. That's what I always imagined. And then like to have it evolve into what it has become, we kind of have something special with an acoustic drum and a bass player now that I don't see in a lot of other bands. So I kind of pushed that forward on the last album we did. I really made sure that people knew there was a live bass player and additional drums.
And you now enjoy more touring and releasing new records, because you were saying that beforehand sometimes you were not so sure, but now are you enjoying touring?
Yeah, we don't, and you know, I call it touring. Our touring now consists of like a few shows in Europe when you know we do them in little batches when we can. And obviously, in the last 2 years, we haven't
that was the next question.
Yeah. I mean, October 19th, 2019 was our last gig together.
Yeah.
It seems like forever ago. And it was like the trio, it was like everything I wanted. It was in Germany. It was on a nice stage, great sound, the Autumn Moon Festival. So that's what I want. I want to get us back to that again, where we kind of left off. And I feel like we can do that again, but we just lost 2 years of momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to reboot everything, restart everything. Yeah.
But I mean, we have friends like you guys, and lots of people in the meantime have been playing our songs. So I don't think we're lost and, you know, back to zero. We're still around. People have actually noticed the band and the name more now. So, but I do consider, I have a lot of pride in our live shows, and I consider Zwaremachine a live band. Like that's why I have the band, not to record, not to do interviews. I want to play live on stage. That's kind of our goal.
And in stage, do you really enjoy like the energy you feel like within yourself and the band and the connection? Or do you value more the presence of the audience and fans and people there? And like, I don't know, I've never been on stage. I think it will be really cool to feel everybody's enjoying themselves, but at the same time, you as an artist, you are expressing yourself. And it's not only the audience, it's you too, like releasing all the energy. I think you need the audience, but even without the audience, maybe it's actually very powerful. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think.
I don't even know if this is a question.
I don't know. I will answer I will answer for Mach. Kind of how I feel when I'm on stage is. Okay, let me change the camera because people want to change the camera. Okay, how I feel when I'm on stage, I feel like there's a mix between what my energy and the audience energy, and if it's good, if it's really good, the concert, when there's a back and forth on that. I don't know, Mach, if you agree or.
That's exactly the same way I feel. I kind of get in a different place. It's weird.
You abstract yourself from the audience?
No, I love to look into their eyes. I like to see what they're doing. I like to, be with them, be present with them. And also, as far as Zwaremachine, when I look to my left and I look to my right and I see D-Bot and ΔΦΘ just doing their thing, D-Bot's got his head down, he's banging his head, playing bass. ΔΦΘ, he's just going wild, on the drum. That makes me smile inside. That makes me really happy to know that these guys are doing, giving it 100% like I want to. But yeah, it's exactly seeing the crowd. I mean, the live streams we did down here in the Fox Den, my little studio, those were just D-Bot and I, and it just wasn't the same. I mean, like you guys know, you got to keep an eye. Am I still recording? Is the red light on? Like I'm switching video while we're playing live. It's like I'm not 100% there for the live streams. But when we get on stage and all I need to do is front the band, that's the best place I can be, really. And with these guys, I just love it. There's a lot of energy live.
And still feeling the punk spirit alive.
Yeah, very much. Things can get out of hand live. I mean, if I jump and I kind of like miss something, that's, it's a live show. And that's the special thing about live. I do want the sound to be like the record. That's one thing I tried to do too, especially with Be a Light, our first record. I worked on the album as a live set before we even recorded it. So I knew what songs worked live, and I knew that we could sound like the album live because, they worked together when I wrote everything and arranged it.
You construct the music for live, but when you record it for the album, do you make any changes on the music so it sounds better on the album, or you record it as it goes live?
That first album was pretty much live. I mean, it was like we recorded it like we would play it live, and then once we recorded it, things might have slightly changed around in the vocal arrangement, so then I'd either relearn it or I would just sometimes live the vocal arrangements are different because I wanted that freedom. I wanted that to be the spontaneous part, but I wanted the band to hold it down and maybe even drive the song. But yeah, it's right now for the Conquest 3000 album, we haven't been able to play that much live. We haven't played those songs live, but I think it'll sound like the album.
Yeah, I know that also you have behind all that you have also Kitty doing managing. So how did she came on board also for this? Is she from the beginning of on Zwaremachine?
About in late 2018, she had been a part of the Be a Light album too, because we were friends, and I would send her tracks. She was really encouraging about it. She was kind of the only outside person who I cared their opinion on what I was doing. So she helped kind of focus on that. And right around then, I had asked her also if she would manage and book the band. So she took that on, and yeah, things started rolling in 2019. And she was a big part of what we do now, you know, making videos, editing videos, filming videos, a lot of the promotion.
Yeah, life now is different for a musician.
Yeah.
Even for us, like being a DJ nowadays is, well, in clubs is a little different. Sometimes they're open, sometimes they're not. But life is much more online than it was before, yeah.
Yeah. You were talking about the videos, and the videos, everything is done by yourselves. You and, I don't know, Kitty, you do everything? You film,
Yeah.
you edit, everything is you?
Yeah. Sometimes we're in the same country doing it. Sometimes she's directed me remotely too, which was kind of fun. And yeah, that, and our videos are kind of do it yourself, and they're real, like they're not HD, you know, they're the best we can do with what we have, and you know, we make them so we're happy with them.
Yeah, that's the most important. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And how does it work? Since sometimes you're not in the same country, and even the band is not in the same country. How is the creative process? Well, for Max Fox, it's very different. But what's the main difference with the creative process for Max Fox and in Zwaremachine?
Well, for Mach Fox, those were the outtakes from Zwaremachine, so it was
Yeah.
pretty much the same for that EP. But yeah, I don't know. Dave, D-Bot and I live in the same state, so we can get together every once in a while and rehearse. With ÞÞÐYR, I recorded his drums for the Conquest 3000 album in January 2020, and so I've been using samples of his drums now. And the only drawback there is I don't get the full rhythm that he would play. You know, he's like a really cool drummer playing on his drum, and I don't want to like mess up and make a rhythm that he would be like not happy with. That's one thing. If we can all get together, and I have to make this happen for the next album. I think the next Zwaremachine album can be our best album if we can all get together and kind of like each have our own voice on it. Whereas, you know, right now I'm kind of sampling the drum. I'm kind of making it like the kick drum because I don't want to mess it up too much. But you know, once we start playing live too, I told those guys, do what you need to do to have fun on stage and be yourself. You know, for the record, on the albums, I kind of simplified their parts maybe. With the bass too, I was a little bit of editing to kind of just make it a little more mellow maybe for the album, or just a little subdued. But live, I think it's going to have a lot more energy and dynamics.
Okay.
But I want to make an album with all three of us recording our parts the way we want them next time.
Yeah.
What are you more eager for, that next album or finally getting able to tour extensively the current one?
Well, I don't think we can ever tour extensively because of the cost and travel and everything. But yeah, I definitely, like I was saying, I'm into the live band thing. That's why I have Zwaremachine. So I can't wait to play. And that's another thing. We have an album's worth of material we haven't played out live. We have good songs from the other album. A lot of people haven't seen us live, so we're not in a hurry, at least for 2021. Yeah. We're not even going to worry about the next record. We're going to focus on some live shows, even if it's a couple live shows. You know, we have a couple shows booked.
Yeah.
And I want to make those, if we're only going to do 2 shows, they got to be the best 2 shows we do all year. You know?
Yeah. And with that,
I want to play live. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. So I was going to say that let's play now another video from Zwaremachine. And yeah, and then we'll be right back to continue our talk. So we were just talking. We're just talking with Mac Fox while I think you couldn't hear us while you were watching this. He was telling us that they were all together filming this in Netherlands and sorry, and how fun did they had.
Yeah. Like it was that show that you were mentioning beforehand. Yeah. So we look at this video and we think, wow, really cool video with lots of energy. But I'm sure you look at it and you think, wow, I miss these days.
Yeah.
Well, we can still make the videos, but yeah, that was, and we filmed that at a spot that a lot of people know who live in the city where we filmed it. It's a music school. And that was where we would go rehearse too. And then outside they have all this kind of like architecture and cool stuff. You know, I think we did that at night where we could get those silhouette kind of in that circle thing. That was just a window and a piece of art they had that we just went and stood behind, and we each did our own little thing, and then we played together. But yeah, I miss getting together with with those guys and with Kitty and making videos. You know, I was just over there with Kitty for 5 weeks over the holidays, and a few days after I got there, they kind of shut things down again. So everything closed mostly. So I said, well, you know, now what are we gonna do? You know, there's not much to do. So we decided to make a video while I was over there, and that was really cool. That was for a Ministry cover song that Zwaremachine just released for Effigy. And when we were
you enjoy making cover songs?
I don't know. I have to have a deep connection with them.
Yeah. Like
I have to really feel it deep inside. Otherwise, I don't enjoy them that much. I mean, it's not something I really want to be as a cover band. So what I like to do, what I've done in the past too, I'll take a song and kind of like slow it down, make it creepier, or kind of put my own twist on it.
Yeah.
But with the Ministry one, that was one where D-Bot, we used to play it in a cover as a Mach Fox cover band called the Glampires. We would play a Halloween gig now and then, and we would do all covers. And that was one, he liked the bass line a lot, and he kept asking me, you know, can we do this song again? Let's do it again. And I said, I don't know, you have to make the track, I said. I'm not going to program it all. And because we used to play it live with a drummer, no sequencing and no drum machines back in those days. So I told him, I said, work up the song. I said, I'd love to do it, but I don't care that much to work that hard on it. He's good at all that stuff. So he put the track together. We had our friend Sin from Malice Machine play the guitar part on it, and yeah, and then we made a video. And the thing about making the video was, you know, usually you wait till 2, 3, 4 in the morning to go out on the street so no one's around, you know, and then you can not be so self-conscious when you're doing your DIY renegade filming. Well, we were out there at like 9, 10 o'clock. The streets were desolate. It felt like we had our own film set. Like nobody was around. It was so cool, and the streets were wet, so you had that glow. So I'm really happy with how the video turned out, and we're gonna premiere that February 10th on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. We're going to talk about it
next. Show up live if you're not doing a set and see
the
world premiere.
Sure. We'll be joining in and watching it.
Yeah.
And can't wait for it. Go ahead.
Okay. So you have mentioned before in this talk that some collabs with friends and friends in other bands. Do you have like genuine good friends in other bands, and you feel like in the music? No, I will not call it industry, but in your relations with other bands, do you find inspiration in each other? Do you help each other? Or sometimes it's more like a lonely wolf walk?
No, I think I collaborate with other producers and songwriters. That's kind of how the last album came together. And that's one thing I want to clear up too. A lot of people know that Zwaremachine and Mach Fox was sort of my solo project when they started, and kind of I did all the stuff, I recorded stuff, and then would get a live band together to play it. Whereas the Conquest 3000, our second full-length album, that really I purposely worked with other people so it wouldn't be just me. And I still see people kind of think that, you know, they kind of say, oh, it's all me or something. I just want to clear up that D-Bot, the bass player, he wrote, you know, the Hollow Moons EP. He wrote half the songs on there. We worked with Darren Corey. He's a songwriter, producer from Ireland. He wrote the other half. That was the Ripping at the Fabric EP.
Yeah.
He wrote those songs with me. And then Plank Toon, who's our friend from Sweden, he's been working with Mach Fox and Zwaremachine for a long, long time. We've been collaborating. So he was part of that album too. He took the songs that D-Bot wrote and kind of reworked the instrumental tracks with different sounds. So it was really a huge effort. And then, like I say, Kitty and Diane Officer, they had input on what they liked, what they didn't like, and Kitty really helped me focus, so it became a Zwaremachine album. Conquest 3000 could have been a mess. Because I like too many things. I had it in my mind too. It's like, well, Zwaremachine is whatever we want it to be. If I go in a synth pop route, well, we'll lose some fans, we'll gain some fans. I don't know, but I'm glad she helped me focus to become. It was still Zwaremachine, just the next level, a different version slightly.
How do you start? How do you normally start a track? By some sounds, or it goes on the guitar first, or the drums? How does it start usually?
Drums and bass synth kind of like work out the melody, and that was more like on Be a Light, the first Zwaremachine album. On this second one, we started with D-Bot sending me lots of instrumental tracks and ideas he had that he wasn't using in his other projects. He's got a couple other bands too, so he had a bunch of songs, and I said, well, why don't you let me hear what you got? And immediately he was sending me songs, and they had these cool science fiction style titles too, and that's kind of the Conquest 3000 album is a concept album of, you know, kind of about the world going downhill, and Hollow Moons was part of that originally, and that was about how everyone had to leave the planet, live somewhere else because we've polluted and depleted our planet so much. So he sent me all these cool songs, so I just like worked on the arrangement, listened to what he had. So that was a way different way of doing music than I usually do, but I loved it. Same with Darren Corey. When he sent me the songs, he had little 2-minute, things going on. So I would edit them and arrange them like a song and then write the vocals. So I had a lot less to do with the instrumental side of the Conquest 3000 album.
Okay. I was going to ask you also if what do you think is most important for you? What's most important is for them the music. It's for the people listening your music to have a message that you want to transmit, for the kept a message, or just have fun all around?
I like a vibe where the music and the message can kind of come together. And for the Zwaremachine albums, I don't put a song on our album if I don't think it can be in the live set.
Yeah.
And that was how the Hollow Moons EP came about. Those songs weren't going to be in a Zwaremachine live set no matter what. They just were not part of Zwaremachine. So, like I say, the live show, that's what it's all about for me, is if we can recreate these songs live, then they'll be on the album. And I guess like a vibe and a style and a genre, that just comes with whatever the song is. I don't know that I want to try to be a certain style of music all the time, but I want an album to sound like an album.
Yeah.
So Input was here on chat saying that besides all the music related stuff in the Netherlands, you were also spending a lot of time watching bad movies.
Oh yeah, I
So
horror movies, science fiction. She's not so much into the science fiction and horror as I am, so yeah,
yeah,
lots of bad movies. We had a great time. It just wasn't, we weren't able to like, meet up with friends in other countries or do as much as I originally had planned on. I was able to hang out with Dine Officer a couple times, which was great. Always good to see him. We had lots of talk about the band and what we have planned, so.
and besides like movies, what are not music related interests that you have and you have fun and perhaps give you inspiration when you are thinking about new tracks?
Nothing. I'm so obsessed with music. I have like, I just can't, that's why I have Mach Fox. I have Fox Nova Project. We have Zwaremachine. And then I also always mess around with modular synths,
Yeah.
which is a place where I can create sounds and like things I've never heard before. It's a little more jamming style. Like it's hard for me to arrange a verse chorus type song on the modular synth. Of course I could, but I just like that as a weird experiment, and I like to spend time doing that. I watch a lot of YouTube tutorials on equipment. I'm
Yeah.
into sequencers and drum machines, so. But really, yeah, just that and bad movies, science fiction and horror movies do give me tons of inspiration for lyrics, and a lot of it's cliche. I feel like the Conquest 3000 album, the year 3000 and the Earth is Dying. That's all stuff. I watched movies like that my whole life, and now it's sort of coming true. It's a little bit scary in that sense, but that's just, I'm obsessed with music. There isn't much else you'll find me doing. VJ, I do, and I know I've seen your cool VJ stuff too. So that was something pre-pandemic I was doing and could actually make money at, was being a VJ at clubs.
Yeah.
And I still have a passion for it, but since the pandemic, I haven't touched it much. That was like a big important part of my life, visuals and video art.
Yeah.
And VJ, I would stack up like these screens behind me.
Yeah.
I would stack those up in a live club and kind of do art installations for shows and stuff, but that's kind of on the back burner for now.
Yeah, it's things are really slow here too.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
hope things will be better.
Yeah,
At
I think
least
in Europe, in general, things are very slow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe spring coming, things will get a little better, and then, well, we can only hope for the best in the winter time and hope it goes away a little. But at least I think with warm weather, at least here, things are going to start moving more, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah, I don't.
you
I'm
were
just
talking
worried
about
they're going to open up again, then close again. This
Yeah.
ebb and flow of winter and sickness, and it's hard to make plans. We have 2 shows booked in October, October 28th and 29th, and we're kind of hesitant to do anything else. I'm not even, I'm 50-50 in my head that those shows are even going to go on. So
Yeah, nowadays
It's hard to
you
plan.
said October, and I thought immediately in my head, oh, October, maybe it's a bad month.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm worried. We'll see what happens. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, life is really now divided between maybe spring and summer, it's okay, but
Yeah.
be afraid of winter. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I was talking on the last week. There was this guy telling me when we were live. He was telling me, "Oh, you have to come play at my place," and I said, "Yeah." Both times I had a gig for your place, I couldn't play because of COVID. So, and
Yeah,
one of them was
both dates were cancelled.
yeah, both dates were cancelled because of COVID. Because of no, this has to be shut down, and yeah. So I haven't
it's hard
played it yet,
hard
just
to
because
plan
of
ahead.
COVID.
Yeah, now we're
Well,
open, now we're closed.
Yeah, and like I can't afford to, like have plane tickets canceled,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we have two of us traveling to Europe, or two people traveling from Europe to the US. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard enough before to be an independent musician. Now it's like you got to have a couple credit cards and a big bank account if you want to try, it seems like.
Yeah, last time he told me you were in the Netherlands, I said to him, in January, but it's all closed.
Well, things were looking good when I bought the ticket, and then like, you know, mid mid December, and like right after I got there, it kind of closed down a little bit again. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we enjoyed we were tuning into one of your live streams from the Netherlands. That was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I were able to catch you guys.
Yeah. Your things closed a little days later that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that
Just
stream
later.
too. Yeah.
Sorry, I was remembering another. I was thinking about other things. I was thinking about yesterday our conversation about also another band that was touring when COVID started, and they were supposed to be touring through Europe, and they only give
Yeah,
one
one gig. They came from America especially to have this tour, and
Yeah,
they
in
only played
Europe.
one show.
Yeah, it was a disaster financially for them to just come do
But it's
one show.
heartbreaking too. Yeah, money is one thing, but I don't know who the band was, but every band who's out there traveling around and touring, they're doing it because they love to play those
Yeah,
gigs. They want to get on stage, they want to have a live show with a live audience, and that's heartbreaking when you go that far, you've got your tickets, you're there,
yeah,
and then it gets shut down. That's what I'm trying to avoid. I'm really hesitant to book more shows that may or may not happen. That would be devastating.
yeah.
Now reading input here on the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the October gig is as soon as they Belgium. This is an autumn edition, and shortly after we finished effigy cover, we found out Ministry is headlining the days Zwaremachine is playing. Yeah. I've seen that. I talked that also a few days ago about that. Yeah, that seemed like a really an awesome day. All the headliners and all the bands. It seems like an awesome day. So if I don't know if we can, but if it would be really cool to watch you guys live.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
October might
October,
be
let's
still
see.
okay. But November and December, I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Well, yeah, we have to play it by ear. We'll see.
Yeah.
This summer we'll kind of know better how that's going to shape up. But yeah, we were pretty excited to get that show. That's a big festival, a really cool festival in Belgium, and yeah, we were working on we were mixing the cover song when we, confirmed that gig, and Ministry, Dead Kennedys. There's a whole bunch of bands that I grew up with, like on that bill.
Yeah.
So just, we'll probably be the first band. We'll be earlier in the day. We're not like direct support, but I just, I love playing those festivals too because they're set up well, and we're not the promoter. If we have to promote a tour or a show, it's a lot harder than if it's a festival where they have great sound, great stage, the crowd knows about it. And we have really good support in Belgium and some other places in Central Europe. And like I say, you guys, it's been great that people are excited about the band in Europe. That's kind of where our focus is anyways.
Yeah. And it's going to be the biggest stage where you have played? Or the biggest
Probably.
crowd?
Yeah, I mean, we've played with some really cool bands. We played with Portion Control. We've played on some good big stages and other festivals and stuff, but I think this probably would be the biggest we've played.
Yeah.
And with that, let's go for another Zwaremachine track. Now, this is Parasol, and and we'll be right back after this. And that was the video. That was Parasol. And guys, you are watching again. This is you can write
it's a
down.
collaboration.
Yeah, you can write down your questions wherever you want to ask us, or ask Mike Fox. You're free to do so. You can write down whatever, or you can tell us shut up.
And you were saying that since music is such a big love for you, I was wondering, is there any kind of music that you dislike?
Yeah, you really hate some.
There's some sounds that I don't like and some genres, but I like a good, well-produced song.
I think at least for me that's the more important. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not huge into American country music or, there's some styles that I just don't care for that much, but I'm a lover of production and music, so I'll listen to everything kind of with an ear, and I'll find something I like probably. But the other thing is I'm not listening to a lot of music. I'll tune in and maybe get on some DJ streams and hear some stuff, but when I'm at home, I'm usually working on music or taking a break from music, so I'm not up on all the new releases by everybody. And I certainly had my fill of music growing up, though, where I was always listening to something, and I just find I don't want to be influenced by stuff all the time now, so I'm trying to kind of wean myself off of always listening to music, but I still watch plenty of DJ streams.
Yeah. Was music really important in your upbringing? Like you live in a very musical home, or was more like a teenage thing? You close yourself in the room and listen to music as a way of expressing yourself?
Yeah, it wasn't a real musical upbringing, but at an early age, there was something about music that drew me in, and I was always fascinated by that. And, for instance, if my mom would go to the grocery store or go somewhere, I'd ask if I could go with, but I just wanted to sit in the car when she went in the store and play with the radio and tune in songs. So I know all the words to all the worst American pop songs you can imagine. But that informed some of my sense of melody, later on. And then I did find in my teenage years, I wanted to play guitar, and a lot of time was spent with headphones on in my room. I remember one time having headphones on, listening to the radio, and it was a Led Zeppelin song that I had just discovered on the radio. My dad was walking by. I said, do you know who this is? And he's like, yeah, it's Led Zeppelin. I have the record downstairs. As soon as I found out he had a record collection that I could pillage and start listening to, that, my dad did like music, and he encouraged me a lot. He bought me a 4-track. My family knew I was interested in music, so I was lucky to get a guitar for Christmas one year. And then my uncle bought me, it was an acoustic guitar, because I think they thought, oh, that's not as loud as an electric guitar. But then my uncle bought me a pickup that you could put in the acoustic guitar. Yeah. And then I bought an amp. So I torture him with loud guitar music all the time. And it was horrible, but I'm happy that they didn't discourage me from it. They probably wondered really what cool. I was doing, but
because many times families get a little worried that you will get bad grades on school, and music doesn't give a future to anyone, and then it's really cool that they supported your love for music and even encouraged you.
Yeah, and I think one thing my mom said to me recently, which I thought was really cool, she's like, you've never wavered from it. She said, you always wanted to do this, and it wasn't something you just gave up on. So whether that's good or bad, I'm kind of stubborn about it, and I sure didn't want the COVID and the pandemic to kill my love of Zwaremachine and stuff, but it's been tough to make it through these 2 years of not playing gigs, no VJ gigs either. for 20 years prior, like every week, every month, there was, I was playing live in bars, doing my thing, and all of a sudden it just stopped. That was a real shock and still kind of devastates me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a worldwide thing.
Yeah.
Culture it took such a big toll, really, from music to actors, even technicians, because sometimes people forget about technicians, that suddenly they had no job at all.
Yeah.
No, the arts community, the artists, and I feel like we got the short end of the stick too, because there was plenty of sports things going on, and I feel like music culture adds more, for some people. It depends on who you are. Sports are probably great for keeping some people out of trouble. Music can do the same thing, and I feel like we got the short end of the stick, but
for sure.
Nothing. I don't know how to combat that.
Yeah.
Sometimes music, even in a regular day, sometimes takes the short pick. Doesn't get much support. I don't know how it is in States, but here in Europe, at least in Portugal, like the federal state really tries to support like theater companies and some bands and little projects. And even cinema, because otherwise, if you're not giving a very commercial thing, people wouldn't be able to have these projects because they are not like financially very successful in the money point of view only. But with the pandemic and everything, that isn't on the focus right now, and I think these small projects and more indie things are really suffering.
Yeah, I think it's a worldwide thing.
Yeah.
Everyone is suffering from small projects. Previously, we were talking about the Sinner's Day. You were talking about ministry and Dead Kennedys, and those were early influences for you. What are your early influences in music?
For sure, stuff like the Clash and the Dead Kennedys, that kind of stuff lyrically informed me, and I still kind of write lyrics like that with a slant on my view and kind of more from a punk standpoint, maybe. Stuff like Yazoo, when I first heard that album, Upstairs at Eric's, that was a huge influence on me. Alison Moyet, just her voice, her singing is great. I don't really try to sing like her, but musically that was interesting to me. Gary Newman, Fad Gadget. I remember hearing Fad Gadget and buying the Collapsing New People single when it came out and thinking this is just music like I never heard before, electronic and clanking metal, and like, I don't know, we had a couple college radio stations that I could tune into late at night on like a Sunday night, and I'd hear all the imports, all the different kind of music that we weren't getting on our rock stations here, and all that stuff influenced me. It was just like the drum machines and synthesizers sounded great. Something about them sounded better than, Southern American rock just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm always talking, and I was looking at you, thinking, go ahead, talk a little.
Go. Go ahead, Pipa.
What do you think you have a reason for that passion with the drum machines? Because you already said like, I loved guitars and all that influence, and then when you listened to the drum machine, you thought, wow, what is this?
It's those, like the Simmons drum machine, those toms that go do do do.
Yeah.
It's just that I really like a white noise, like a noise snare, like a the white noise sound of a snare.
Yes.
For some reason, I'm not a huge fan of a deep wooden snare sound. Now it depends on what kind of music and mood you're trying to make, but I like those cold drum machine sounds. I think that's something about I like. They were a little cold, sterile. And with Zwaremachine too, I tried to have the drums really hard quantized, like really on a grid, and then I wanted the bass line to be like something out of a Prince song. I wanted the bass line to be human and sexy, but I wanted the drums to be stiff. So that was like just for a focus
I wasn't.
for Zwaremachine.
I sorry to interrupt. I wasn't really expecting that now.
Well, Prince is from Minneapolis too,
Yeah.
and that, he's a good songwriter.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's really what draws me in is good songs. The genre
Yeah.
isn't as important to me, but for Zwaremachine, it was like part of that was like, okay, let's not have everything sound like a robot. Let's
Yes.
have the drums be really stiff, and then the bass line be the human element, and then kind of the singing style I do with Zwaremachine is a little bit heavy on the effects. I try to make it ugly and rough sounding, and that's just how I came up with the Zwaremachine sound. I also I call it minimal hypnotic industrial body music, and I tried to like make things loop in short loops and kind of like be repetitive almost
Yes.
to like put your mind in a space, and then the vocals are kind of jumping out at you. I don't know if it worked, but it's like what I had in my head when I try to think of a Zwaremachine sound, how we can be original.
The next track we will be playing like in a few minutes. I will be trying to see Prince in it and the and the sexiness.
Well, if it's off Be a Light, that album, it
Yeah.
might be make a little more sense. If it's off of Conquest 3000, that was kind of like that record was made in a whole different way. So
Yeah, I think
I
it's
was-
really awesome that people have lots of different influences, and
Yeah.
I also believe sometimes I don't like a certain musical style, but if it's well produced and I find it good, it's okay. I can listen to music that I don't like so much and think, wow, this is good. It's not my taste, but it's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's even catchy, and you don't like it so much, but it sticks in your head. And sometimes it's the lyrics, sometimes it's the musical production, but
Yeah.
that's awesome when that happens.
Yeah, and actually, we're now going to play for the Fox Nova project, the Sound Off video, and and we'll talk about the Fox Nova
Yeah.
project after this. So let's go.
Thank
So, yeah. Hope you guys like that. That was the Fox Nova project. And before we jump on the Fox Nova project, we have a question from Ad Noctum says, asking, do you compose jamming or the idea come and you reproduce them?
Not much jamming. Like most of our stuff is, with drum machines and sequencers. So, it's more like try to come up with something. If it sticks, then we like flush it out with some lyrics and a arrangement and a mix. But a lot of times it's just one of us. There's not like a band jamming live in the room anymore. Like with Zwaremachine and the stuff I'm releasing now, it's kind of like, I just get these electronic compositions from my collaborators, and maybe I'll jam on the lyrics. A lot of the vocals I do is sort of jamming, like seeing what works melody wise and stuff, and then a lot of editing and moving stuff around. And I do miss jamming. I mean, I do it by myself a lot, but we don't compose any of our music that way, really.
Yeah.
And speaking about singing, how did you start singing? Because you mentioned that you played guitar, and how did you discover that you enjoyed singing and actually had a good voice?
I did. That was one of the things. I wouldn't say I was vocally trained, but I was in choir. I never played in band in school. I wasn't doing any band instruments, but I did like choir, and I was
Oh, that's another super interesting info.
Well, I mean, in school here, you could be in band or choir. I just chose choir, I think, because maybe I thought it was easier, and there wasn't any band instruments like classic instruments, like horns or woodwinds that I was really interested in. But yeah, I always, like I say, I had an ear for like pop music. I would listen to anything I could find on the radio. And then later on, I got into rock and punk and stuff. But, like a lot of people, I just identified with singers and lyrics and vocal melodies. So later on, when I got like my first bands, I was the singer guitar player, I guess. Then after that, sometimes I would just be the guitar player or the keyboard player. But yeah, I something about writing songs I thought was like really cool and fun. So I was just singing them because I was writing the song, not because I had a big drive to be the lead singer in a band.
And have you ever thought about writing poetry by itself, not related to a song?
Not really. I mean, some song lyrics could be poetry too, but yeah, it's mostly for the song. And like I say, a lot of sci-fi and horror themes are in my lyrics. And yeah, I don't think I don't think my lyrics are that great, or I don't feel like I'm poetic. It's more like a angry shout sometimes.
Yeah.
But that can be, poetry can have all kinds of shades and
can be definitely an angry shout.
Yeah. I just immediately think of poetry as like beautiful prose and, like a colorful sentence. I mean, I do like to be cinematic sometimes when I write lyrics. Like, I hope that there's a picture playing in people's heads when they see it, even if it's not what I exactly meant. I like the idea of pushing a picture into your head, with the sense of the music being part of that influence too.
And I'm seeing here on the chat box that the choir mentioned had some reactions, and input is saying, I didn't even knew that.
I don't know. It's just because you had to pick something. I wasn't like a shining light in our choir or anything, but and I remember some of my early bands, I would like have long hair and I just kind of like play guitar and stare down at the floor. Like, it wasn't really until Zwaremachine that I like. Maybe there was a couple other bands like Mach. I felt like I was the lead singer and I had to project.
Yeah.
But with Zwaremachine, that was the first band where I really stepped out and I was like, okay, I'm the front guy. I gotta like, interact with the audience. I gotta do that. I've always been a little stand back, a little shy about that kind of stuff until Zwaremachine. And then with Zwaremachine, though, like I say, with those guys on stage with me, they give me a lot of confidence and boost my performance. So it's a whole new thing now.
Yeah. Moving on to this Fox Nova project. So, how did it all started? How did it form this project? How was it?
Well, my friend Craig Saunders, he's an Australian musician, and his band Novakill is a band that really stood out to me in that more aggressive synth genre.
Yeah.
Now, several years ago, I was listening to that band, and then I saw on Facebook this guy doing remixes, and it was Craig Saunders from Novakill, and I was like, I should get in touch with him. And so I sent him an email. I requested a remix for Zwaremachine from him, and he sent me a really cool remix. Then he sent me another version of it with a different track, and he said he just had this track and he threw the vocals on it. He's like, This is a whole different thing, see if you like this. And I didn't feel like it worked as a Zwaremachine remix, but the music was really interesting. It had distorted bass, it was kind of brooding, a little slower tempo, and menacing. It sounded dangerous to me. And I was like, this is really cool. Can I try a collaboration where I just do new vocals instead of a remix? And he was up for that. We both liked the direction it was going. And I also pulled out the guitar. I haven't been playing guitar, and I was thinking about guitar for maybe the next Zwaremachine album, but it would be more like samples of something I played rather than me bringing a guitar on stage. But I did pull out the guitar for the track we were working on, and I was like, this is really cool, it's fun. I added in a little modular synth, but mostly it was his instrumental track, and maybe I did a little arranging so I could sing a song arrangement. But yeah, we liked the direction, we were both excited about it, and he sent me some other things he was working on that he wasn't using. Now he does a ton of remixes for people. He has releases remixes under a lot of names, so he had lots of great tracks that I was hearing. So I said, well, can we do an EP? And I think the music is really strong. Maybe we didn't pick the best name. Yeah, because I was just trying. I'm like, well, we each kind of have established something, so how can we use our previous names and make something? We didn't put a lot of thought in the name. It was just one that neither of us hated, so we just went with it. But I'm proud of the music we made. I think it's got a pretty unique vibe to it. Like I say, that dangerous menacing sound. And so, yeah, we got the EP going. We released that in the end of October in 2021. And I feel like I'm just now starting to promote that one. It's kind of like with Zwaremachine, that's my main focus, but yes. I wanted to get the word out about Fox Nova project and the Mach Fox EP, so we just started promoting those.
Yeah. Also, about all the graphic designs that you make, is it you that make all the? I'm talking about that skull that you have, all the design for, and the logos. Yeah, the logos from Zwaremachine. Is it everything you or?
The original. There's one skull design that kind of looks like reminiscent of the Joy Division.
Yeah.
With lines like that. That was something I kind of made with an effect. But then we have more of the aggro skull, which was designed by Mark Gerard. Okay. Now, Paul Gerard and Mark Gerard are two brothers, and they've done all the Zwaremachine artwork.
Yeah.
Like all the covers for our albums. If you go to our Bandcamp homepage, you'll kind of see there's kind of like a vibe and a look to our artwork that I like to. I think that's really cool. I've seen other bands like Frontline Assembly and, like Skinny Puppy. These bands, they work with an artist so that there's like a common thread maybe between some of their stuff.
Yes.
And I liked that idea a lot. So Mark Gerard has designed a lot of it. Paul Gerard designed some of it. I don't do a ton of the graphic stuff for the band. That's my day job, sort of. So I like having an outside person do that.
Yeah.
Someone who's way more talented and comes up with something different than I would.
Okay. Go ahead.
From time to time, I think I'm speaking a lot, and then I
No,
look
no,
at
no,
you.
go ahead,
Go,
go ahead.
go.
Yeah, I don't know, because I don't have any more questions, or at least that I can think of now, or at least because I always think of questions, but they're always dumb.
Well, we can ask a dumb question. Do you remember one dumb question?
One dumb question.
Yeah.
So, what's like if you had to choose like a favorite track ever from any artist whatsoever, and you can only listen to that track, what would that track would be?
That's not dumb. That's impossible.
That's kind of easy for me. I mean, yeah, there's tons of them that I love. Collapsing New People was just such a huge influence on me.
Yeah.
Or Metal by Gary Newman. Probably one of those two. And if I had to pick an album, it would be Yazoo Upstairs at Eric's. I think that came out in '82, and I had a friend who would go to Germany every year, where his grandparents lived. He lived in the States, but every summer he would go there, and he'd bring back records that were, they weren't available in the States maybe, or they were imports or whatever. And he would like the Judas Priest and all that. I thought that was okay, but he brought back Yazoo, and he hated it. He's like, this music. He gave me the album. I used to listen to that on headphones all the time. I couldn't hear that on American radio rock stations. Yeah. So that album, I was like, this is the weirdest music, like How Winter Kills, like stuff like that. I just had never heard anything like that. So I gotta say that album was like my introduction to electronics. And later on, when I learned like the drum sounds were made with a synthesizer, that kind of blew my mind. I'm like, well, that's weird. How do you even do that? So that's why I love electronic drums and synthesizers. But Collapsing New People, Fad Gadget, that's huge in my world.
Yeah. The way people listen to music beforehand was so different.
Yeah,
when we were kids, like everybody was always so eager to get a new cassette that a friend has brought from somewhere, and someone lent something to someone else. And I remember, because two things, like on the radio, we could only hear very commercial music, and we didn't have much money to be buying CDs all the time. Or cassettes or albums or whatever. So everything was precious. You really listening to the old album, you knew all the lyrics, and nowadays things are much more faster. Like you listen to the I don't know if people nowadays even listen to whole albums. I think that's one of the main reasons why now there are so many EPs and just singles.
Yeah.
Because people listen, it's very fast. You listen to small samples and you either like it or not, and then you move to the next thing. Yeah. And when we were kids, each album took weeks to be heard and to nurtured.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And when you put on headphones, that album can take you somewhere. It puts you in a place. Turn off the lights or leave them on. You feel differently when you listen to an album like that. And I still make albums. I wonder if people listen to, sequencing the album or the songs on the album is still really important to me. There's a flow that happens for me. I don't know if anyone else will listen to it like that, but I'm still going to release an album and spend a lot of time sequencing it and making sure it's in the right order.
Yeah. Speaking about
So-
different styles, I think we had more or less that debate on Spotify like a month or 2 or 3 ago, because Adele asked Spotify not to let the shuffle option be on her album, because she had thought about the order of the songs for a specific reason, and she wouldn't like people to be able to shuffle.
Yeah.
Well, it's a if you look at it, an album as a piece of art too. Like you wouldn't want people to change in a painting. You
Yeah.
wouldn't want them to put the colors where they
Oh,
want them.
I don't
mean,
like
that's,
blue. Take
that's
the blue.
kind of yeah, that's kind of a weird thing. And I just wanted to say about albums. When I was a teenager, my best friend and I, we'd take the bus downtown in Minneapolis to go to the cool record store, but neither of us had much money. So what we'd do is one person would buy the album and then make a cassette copy, or we'd buy the album together. We'd each have $5. We'd buy an album for $10. One person would keep the album, make a cassette copy for the other person. But he got all the, I had ended up with the crappy records. He had all the cool records. But that's just how. Yeah, we just loved music, and it's like we wanted to go buy records, and I like EPs too. An EP can be like a nice mini album. I mean, that's what I tried to do with the Mach Fox album, or the Mach Fox EP. Was I just looked at it as a mini album. With a start and an end point, and then like the song arrangements in between. There's sort of an intro and an outro to that EP.
We have another
I
question.
love it.
here.
I love albums, concept albums, just a body of work I like to hear by a band. If I like the band, I want to. Yeah, and I don't only want to hear the single. I want to hear the songs that weren't the single. Almost because they aren't the single, and maybe they are truer to the band, because they're not trying to make a single and get a hit.
Yeah, I remember when I got a single, when those small vinyl records.
Yeah.
I was always so curious about the B-side. What's the B-side?
I bought Cars on 45 when it came out. Gary Newman Cars. The B-side was Metal. And that song sticks with me to this day. That's one of my favorite Gary Newman songs, and it was the B-side.
Yeah.
I liked that way more than the A-side.
I think one of my favorite Pixies album, like back in the day, was an album of all the B-sides, because they're really great, and they are so unloved sometimes and so forgotten. Yeah.
Well, and a lot of record labels and the whole industry was different in the 90s, for instance, where you didn't get to maybe pick what was the A side and the B side. There was someone else dictating that for the band. That's a really weird thing to deal with too, I don't know. I would rather stay independent and keep control of how I present our band. I just can't imagine working like that.
Yeah, and there are so many examples of bands that like everybody knows that single, and usually the fans don't like so much that single that made the band famous, because for them there are so much better work in all the other tracks. But I don't know, I always remember The Cure and Friday I'm in Love. It's like, oh no, every time I talk to my colleagues about The Cure, and they say yeah Friday I'm in Love, and
Yeah, sometimes it happens.
I think many bands have that thing. There's this track that made them really famous, like in all over the place, but usually like it's not even the best song. It's like the song that the record company said this is going to be a hit.
Yeah. We have a question that's been there for quite a while from Mad Nocturne. Said the Sleaford Mobs covered Yazoo's "Don't Go." Have you listened to it?
Who covered it?
Sleaford Mobs. I think.
I've never heard it. I have
Yeah,
heard some remixes and some covers of their stuff, but I've never heard that one.
yeah.
Is it good?
I don't know. Me
I don't know,
neither.
me
I don't know.
neither.
But
Ad noctum, is
ad
it good?
noctum. Is it good ad noctum? Because I've also never heard it.
Okay, Input says, I do not think you would like that cover.
So yeah. So Input says bad cover. So it's a bad cover.
Okay, Ad Nocturne says it's a bad cover. So we are not
Yeah,
missing anything.
And like with the band that I hold, you know, in an album that I hold so high in my, you know, like musical influence and like what I love about music, it would be disappointing to hear a bad cover version. You know, and
Yeah.
I always wonder that when I do cover songs with Zwaremachine or any of my projects, I want to put my own spin on it. Now that's kind of risky because people sometimes want to hear a faithful recreation of that cover, you know. And then a few people told me about our Ministry cover. Oh, that's my favorite. You know, some DJs told me that's their favorite song,
Yeah.
and they were like, "You didn't ruin it." I was like, "Oh, good." But yeah, that's a touchy thing. Covers, you know, people do them for different reasons. Like I say, for me, it has to be a song I personally really connect with, especially if I'm singing it. I don't want to have to learn it. I want to feel it in my heart and like just feel like I know this song inside and out and I can make it my own.
Yeah.
But yeah, covers can be really cool, but you can also like, you know, ruin a song for someone.
Actually, on my experience, and I've seen that happen a lot. People making covers, and the cover is actually, I like it better the cover than the actual initial track, so the original. And I'm not remembering one example, but I know that sometimes happen. I like
That's
better.
really cool.
One of
That's
my
cool.
favorite
That-
covers is from Ministry, covering Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lady Lay. I really like that cover.
I've
Yeah.
never heard that, but they do a great version of a Rolling Stones song. It's escaping me which song, but Under My Thumb.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's cool. Ministry does a cool version of that. I love it.
Yeah.
You have that famous cover of "Hurt" by from Nine Inch Nails by
Yeah.
Johnny Cash.
Yeah, Johnny
That
Cash,
many
yeah.
people think Johnny
Yeah,
Cash.
yeah, a lot of
the
people think
original.
that Johnny Cash was the one
Well,
writing
that's
it.
Yeah.
one that I don't know if I love the original, but I certainly don't like that cover.
No, me neither.
He's kind of a monotone singer,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't enjoy it at all. But a lot of people think, I mean, I can see where it's moving. I think, didn't he record that right before his death, kind of
Yeah.
too, like towards the end of his life? I mean, I can see how it's moving in that sense, but I don't want to hear it really.
I
That's-
like covers that challenge the original and make it different and interesting. And
Yeah.
when the artist makes the cover almost his own, like
Yeah.
it's more interesting. Because if I love the original, then I just listen to the original.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how I feel about sometimes going to see live shows too. I really like album production. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
if a band like isn't gonna sound anything like their album and I like what they sound like, I don't know that I need to see them live so much.
Yeah.
I've always kind of
Sometimes you
felt
even
that way.
get a little
I would rather sit
disappointed.
at home. I like to
Yeah.
listen to an album if I love the production.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who would you like to collaborate with? Is there someone that you would like a dream for you to collaborate with someone? Who that
Like
person
a
would be?
famous artist or a
Yeah,
Whatever.
whatever, whoever you want.
Well, there's this guy Todd Rundgren, who, you know, his music is all over the place. You know, he's produced and recorded with people since the 70s. He was a big influence on me because he was one of the first persons who I learned that that made an album by himself, much like Prince did in the early days,
Yeah.
where he played the drums, he sang, he produced it, he mixed it. Like, I didn't know that was possible until I found out he was doing it, till Todd Rundgren was doing it. Now, I don't know why I would need to work with him. I don't think the style of music I do would benefit from him or anything, but he's just an artist I've admired for a long time. He's a great producer. You know, he's produced so many cool albums that I love. I guess, like, I would say him, but I don't know that it would be a good idea. I don't know. You know, I mean, for one thing, I'm not even in his league, like, you know, like, talented enough to probably work with him. So
No,
Uh,
that's not true.
well,
I'm a
thank you,
Max.
but
I'm a Mac Fox supporter.
I just
Yeah.
think I would end up not enjoying him as much maybe if we worked together.
Yeah,
so.
sometimes that might happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't meet
yeah,
your
don't meet
idol.
your heroes. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't meet your heroes.
Nightmare stories in around that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, there's some really cool record producers where, you know, I just don't think they would benefit Zwaremachine, but, you know, I don't know. Stick on our own. Planktune and Darren Corey and Craig Saunders from Fox Nova Project. I'm just happy to make music with all those guys, and it seems like we're going to keep working together. So that's my collaboration team and my band.
Yeah.
And you are going to share a stage, well, not at the same time, but with Ministry and Dead Kennedys.
Yeah.
Maybe you
Yeah,
get
there's
to meet
other-
them, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, and a few people ask me, "Oh, are you gonna play that Ministry cover?" It's like, I don't think so. I don't want to deal with that kind of reaction. Plus, like I say, we'll be playing earlier in the day. I don't know what the crowd's gonna be like and stuff, but yeah, we have enough original songs that I think
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
make Zwaremachine stand out. So we'll stick with those. The covers that we do, we have played some live. One cover I really like to do with Zwaremachine that we haven't released a recorded version of is The Godfathers. They were a rock band from the 90s, Birth, School, Work, Death.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that one, just the lyrics are cynical and it just fits Zwaremachine, like our whole attitude and vibe. So we have played it live. We haven't recorded it. I have a few demo versions of recordings, but nothing that we can release yet. So that's something I'd like to do live on stage. That one.
Yeah.
So, do you want to play another video? Or?
No, I don't have more videos to play.
No videos, no questions.
No more videos to play. I think I played all the videos. And let me do. Yeah, I played all the videos. Yeah. But yeah, more questions. I don't think I have more questions. I've made all the questions I thought of, if I'm not mistaken. But besides, so you had those 2 gigs scheduled for October, and where do you see after that Zwaremachine moving on? What are you? We're still in the beginning of 2022, but is there any, besides the video from Ministry cover? What's next for Zwaremachine? New albums, more dates?
I think we'll probably work on another video from the Conquest 3000 album, maybe the song Toy Maker. I kind of have the motion picture for the video in my head, but I don't know what we're gonna release, this year. We're kind of just focusing on a couple live shows and preparing for that. Right now I'm starting to work with the live sequencing for the synthesizer, things I can play and trigger live, like what needs to be there, what doesn't need to be there. So I don't think we'll have another album until 2023 probably. So
Yeah.
we're just taking things slowly. I can't really it's hard to make plans right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And let's go now. Before we release you from this torture, we still have another question.
Really cool torture.
We still have another question from Ad Noctum saying there was a great scene in Minneapolis. What's your opinion about Janitor Joe?
Janitor Joe, we played some shows with him. That was like that was probably the early 90s. Yeah, that was like Amphetamine Reptile. There was a whole bunch of good stuff back then. They were a good band. I don't know a lot about them. I didn't own any of the records, but they were like, yeah, that was definitely the punk scene in Minneapolis was going then, or alternative. I don't know what you call it. That was pretty thrashy kind of. I don't know how do you describe them, but there was a lot of good bands back then. I was in Charlie Don't Surf, was one of my bands. We were kind of like that was a crazy band. There was 5 of us. We each were a little bit different. I was like trying to be Jimmy Page. The other guitar player was like jumping around like he's in the Dickies, just like this crazy punk stuff.
Yeah.
Our drummer was like double kick drum. Like the bass player was funk. So we were like funk punk metal hybrid band. And then I was in a band called Puck. That might have been who would play with Janitor Joe. We were like more pop punk. That was a trio. But yeah, that Minneapolis is great. Well, it was great for music. I can't really say I'm in touch with the scene anymore because 2 years without live music mostly, and you know, a lot of stuff here too switched to DJs.
Yes.
Like DJs were playing on the stages that used to have, you know, all the independent bands and stuff. So it turned into more of a DJ scene, and I don't know. It was a great scene though, like 80s, 90s in Minneapolis. There was a lot of shit happening.
I have to listen to Janitor Joe after the show. I don't know
Janitor Joe, so yeah, I have to listen to that.
And also to the cover of Yazoo.
And yeah,
he went on to some other bands like Hole, maybe.
Mole?
Yeah, the band Hole. I think that was the bass player from Janitor Joe ended up in that band. But yeah, I don't know much about that band personally.
Okay, and I think that's it. Thank you so much, Mac, for this torture.
Oh, thank you. Malderer, I've always loved your sets, so it's cool that we get to talk and connect like this too.
Yeah, and see if we can get a gig in Portugal. Maybe when you go to Belgium, then before you jump back to the States, come by Portugal, and then you jump to the States.
That's one thing about that Central Europe is, you know, you can get. It's reasonable to do a few gigs around there. Maybe not with COVID restrictions and, you know, travel restrictions. It's hard. I mean, we had plans to do a lot more, and then COVID hit. So we'll see if we can't pick that up again. And, you know, otherwise, I know it sucks, but what I'm telling people now is if you can travel to one of our few select European dates, we'd love to see you. And
Ad Nocturne is asking you to go to France too.
Yeah,
we've only played once there, but yeah, we wanna explore some more gigs once things are available again. We'll definitely do that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much,
free.
Mac Fox. You are released from your torture.
And go find our stuff on Bandcamp.
Of course.
And the Mach Fox Bandcamp.
Yeah, macfox.bandcamp.com and Zwaremachine.bandcamp.com. Go check it.
And also the video premiere.
Yeah, and the video premiere is on 10 of February on Zwaremachine YouTube site, YouTube channel.
Info at NWC/Zwaremachine is our official YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you can find us on Facebook as Zwaremachine, you can find all the links to all the events and everything. That's a good hub for all that crap.
Yeah, guys, go on Facebook, follow Zwaremachine, and get the links from there.
And don't forget the premiere.
Yeah, and don't forget, 10 of February. It's on a Wednesday, on a Tuesday.
It's a Thursday night, and
Thursday. Yeah.
It's like 9 p.m. Central European time. So, but yeah, if you find the event on Facebook, then you get all the time zones correct. So,
yeah,
hopefully you can join us.
Oh,
yeah. We will be there, and we won't miss it. So, thanks, Max.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone that joined in.
Thanks, Ad Nocturne, for the questions and input, for all the insights.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.